Good afternoon. I would like to welcome you to our GATE Virtual 2021. I would now like to introduce Olivia for our acknowledgement to country.
Yama Dumarang, how are you? My name is Olivia Powell. I am a very proud Wiradjuri woman whose family originate from Condobolin, Willow Bend Mission and Peak Hill, Bugeni Mine Mission. I have been within Department of Planning, Industry and Environment for 2 years and currently work within Deep Eye Water. I would like to all welcome you locally and internationally this afternoon to the GATE 2021 Virtual Showcase of New South Wales Ag Technology and Iteration. I will be starting today's meeting with acknowledgement of country. I will pay my respects to all traditional custodians of the lands we meet virtually on. I would like to pay respect to elders, past, present and emerging. As we continue to go about our week, let us reflect on the knowledge passed down and reflect that we walk on their Didnjara footprints. Let us take a stand and become leaders in recognition, taking care of people, land, water and animals of this beautiful country we all call home by learning from our first custodians and creating a truly inclusive next generation. As our acknowledgement comes to a close, I would like us to take a minute of silence to recognise the true history of stolen knowledge, land, language, children and genocide. Reflect on where we are now with intergenerational trauma and lateral violence to acknowledge how far we still have to go. I would also like to thank each and every one of you for wanting to be a part of this change, for standing up to be leaders in recognition and for taking the chance to learn about Aboriginal culture as well as taking a step in your own cultural journey. So our minute of silence will start now. As we're going through a minute of silence, I will also show you a traditional healing of using eucalyptus leaves, also known as gum leaves, as a stress relief and in cleansing the body of all natural toxins. So I have the eucalyptus leaf. All you have to do is break one off, grab it, you crush it, and all you have to do is just breathe in and breathe out. This is really good for if you're dealing with any stress, especially through the COVID situation, lockdowns, everything that the world has been hectic in the last 2 years. I also do it with Vicks because sometimes you may not have eucalyptus around you. So thank you for today. Thank you for taking the opportunity to share a little bit of my culture with you and for being able to share this journey of Aboriginal culture.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank Olivia for our acknowledgement to country. I would also like to pay my respects and acknowledge the traditional owners of this land and all the lands on which you are joining us from today. Today we'll be sharing new innovations. May we pay the respects to the first innovators of this land. Hello, my name is Krista Menjox from the New South Wales Department of Primary Industries GATE team, the global agtech ecosystem, and thank you for joining us live today. To officially open the event, we have the Honourable Adam Marshall, the Minister for Agriculture and Western New South Wales.
Thanks very much, Krista, and thank you to Olivia as well for that wonderful and generous welcome to country. And I too would like to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the land that we all gather on today, regardless of where we're zooming in from, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd like to add my very warm welcome to that of Krista's in welcoming every single one of you that's joining us online for GATE Virtual 2021. This is the fourth one of these events that we've held, and unfortunately due to the pandemic, the second consecutive one that we've had to do in a virtual space. I also want to welcome our impressive cohort that are here today, and we're going to learn more about what they've got to offer and what they've been working on very, very shortly. But I can assure you all that the work that they've been doing and the projects they're working on are absolutely amazing and cutting edge. And the one thing we know about the agricultural sector, particularly right now, is that technology has never been more important. Our farmers in New South Wales are some of the best you'll find anywhere in the world. And they are some of the best you'll find anywhere in the world, largely because of their willingness to embrace and integrate cutting edge technologies into their business operations into their farming operations to eke out that extra little bit of productivity, to reduce input costs. And that's crucial because a lot of the time, as farmers, we don't get to dictate terms in terms of the price of the products that we produce. In a globalized economy, increasingly, while we can search for good markets, ultimately what affects productivity or profitability is the productivity of the land which we grow our produce on, and importantly, the reducing our input costs or being as efficient as possible. And what you're going to see today is a number of very clever, innovative and exciting projects which could be adapted at a commercial scale in the agricultural sector to aid farmers in those two primary objectives. At a state government level, our prime objective is to help the agricultural sector, which is around a $16 billion a year sector to the state's economy at the moment, to grow that even further, to help our country reach $100 billion of productivity by 2030. And New South Wales, as the largest state, has a big role to play in that. Seasonal conditions have turned around. We're now enjoying some of the best conditions in terms of seasonal conditions for all sorts of sectors in the ag industry that we've ever experienced, certainly in recent memory. And some of these innovations that we're going to hear about today might just help that ag sector keep growing to reach that next productivity milestone and to go beyond. So again, welcome to everyone. My congratulations to Krista and her team at GATE, but importantly, congratulations to the project and the project teams that we're about to hear from very shortly. So again, welcome, and I hope you all enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you very much, Minister. Today is a special day. Today we are celebrating the bright minds, the thinkers, the researchers who have a passion for impact, and to celebrate the class of GATE 2021. We have 5 teams presenting today, each from a diversity of backgrounds, 4 which are research teams. They're not just here to pitch though, they're here to be asked the hard questions, and we encourage you to engage and ask those questions. To dive a little deeper and to join the conversation, you can ask questions via the chat function, or if you would like to join our conversation via social channels, make sure you tag @DPI or #DPIGate. You can also meet our teams at the end of this event at our separate networking event. Every single one of us shares something in common. It's primary industries. And as the Minister has acknowledged, every day agriculture plays a vital role in our lives, from fisheries to forestry to biosecurity and food safety. It's also at the heart of some of the world's biggest challenges. We have an exciting lineup today, and so that we can help you lean into the future technologies and those solutions. But we have to acknowledge that it's in the midst of these challenges, we see a new generation of passionate researchers and entrepreneurs pushing the boundaries and rising to those challenges. Here at the GATE, we believe that impact and commerce are not at odds with each other, and that research, industry and private enterprise is how we need to do business in our sector moving forward. And I'm sure you're all just as eager as me to hear from our teams, so let's just get started. Our first team is led by senior research scientists with over 15 years experience. He specialises in soil-plant interactions and nanogeochemistry. He has successfully already brought products from the lab to the shelf, and he's now changing the way we should be taking care of our soils and encouraging sustainable resources and productive landscapes, and also contributing to climate resilience.
The productivity of more than 75% of agricultural lands across Australia is below their potential because many of these lands have soils that suffer from one or more problems, which may lead to a major gap in production and ultimately impacting our economy, society, and the environment. Current products and strategies for managing some of these soil-related issues in Australian agriculture are principally short-term measures and are ineffective to address issues that are hidden below the soil surface. For the first time, the DPI NanoSoils team has combined the recent advances in nanotechnology, chemical engineering, and agriculture to develop innovative and effective soil products to tackle some of these challenging issues affecting our cropping systems. My name is Ehsan Tavakkoli, and I'm leading the DPI NanoSoils team. For the last 15 years, I've been working on soil-based technologies with farmers, industry, scientists, and governments across the nations and internationally. We would like to invite you to connect with us if you're passionate about solving some of the most challenging issues affecting Australian primary industry. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Dr. Ehsan Tavakkoli to our digital stage.
Thank you, Krista. Please take a moment and look at this bumper crop. With a good season ahead, this crop is set to produce an estimated $20 million harvest. However, a few days later, it was nothing. The underlying cause of this transition from hero to zero is related to multiple issues that are hidden below the soil surface. Did you know that more than 75% of agricultural land in Australia suffers from one or more problems related to soils? For example, the decline of soil structure alone results in $1.3 billion loss in agricultural economy every year. Many of these soil-related issues are hidden below the surface. Current technologies can only address the topsoil problems, and we don't have products or management options that can effectively apply to the soil and address problems that are hidden below the surface. The DPI NanoSoil team is globally leading the development of innovative products to target soil-related issues. Over the past 10 years, we have worked with leading experts in the development of soil-based technologies. Nanotechnology, for example, has the potential to revolutionize agriculture, and my team combines the knowledge of biology, chemistry, and nanotechnology to achieve the unimaginable. Using these technologies, we have been able to develop innovative soil products. And these products are so unique that they can be easily applied to the soil surface, and they are able to find their ways to hostile subsoils to address these problems. Let's have a look at a soil from below the surface. Here we can demonstrate how the degradation in soil structure can be stabilized in response to the application of these novel products. At the farm level, this means crops have a better access to water and nutrients, which leads to a step change improvements in productivity. This builds a resilient future for food and farming. Our agriculture has been facing many challenges with the growing population and the adverse effect of climate change. Re-engineering soils to improve their functionality has tremendous impact on the economy, environment, and the society. The project team has more than 150 years of experience in development of science-based innovative products and represent leading experts in agriculture, material engineering, and nanotechnology. Our next step are to focus on the assessment of these products in different soil types and regions, which will then facilitate their pathway to market and adoption. DPI Soil team is leading the charge to improve the productivity and sustainability of soils in primary industries. We are looking for partners to take this further and create a global impact opportunity. Our long-term goal is to bring together partnership between industry, government, and R&D entities to establish a research hub to develop advanced material in agriculture. This is your opportunity to join us to revolutionize the future of Australian primary industries. Thank you.
Thank you, Ehsan. To now understand that our current practices aren't addressing the issues hidden below in the subsurface. And a reminder that I also encourage you to join the conversation by placing your questions in the chat function. And we want you to join. So I'll just have a moment to see if anyone would like to join the conversation. The DPI Tails team. Our first question is, Ehsan, is there any residue of your product which can be making it its way into the waterways?
That's a good question, and I think it is questioning about the health and future of these products when they are actually going off target. So the beauty of using chemical engineering and nanotechnology is that we can fine-tune the movement of the product. And in some example, we need the product to be focused in the top 10 centimeters. And for some example, we can actually fine-tune them to go into the deeper soil profile. And use of surfactants and the polymers that are able to create and fabricate those opportunities, we can manipulate the products to stay where we actually want them to stay. So the other explanation in addition to this question is that for any new products to come to the market, we do a lot of ecotoxicology type of research to make sure the new product doesn't have any adverse effect on our environment and water base.
Thanks, Ehsan, and thank you for joining the conversation as well. Just a reminder that Ehsan will be available after the presentation along with our other teams to continue to answer questions that we're unable to get to. I'm just going to ask one more question, if that's okay, Ehsan, if that's okay. Can we also understand and explain a little bit more, is DPI Soils developing products with a global market in mind, or is it just domestically you're focused? Could you elaborate a little bit more?
Sure. The problem in relation to soil structure, acidity, sodic soils, and salinity are global challenges affecting primary industries across the world, Middle East, India, China, and part of Europe. So there is a huge opportunity, and one of the reasons for this opportunity that exists is to identify worldwide opportunities that we could target and use this new generation of products for addressing some questions that exist in across different countries.
Thanks, Ehsan. I think we just have one more question as well. Could you please explain what nanotechnology is doing to improve soil structure? Just an example, if you have one.
Sure. Nanotechnology is about the size of a particle. And when we are going to that really, really fine particle size, which is fine enough to find its way through the macropores of the soil, we can manipulate the particle movement in such a way compared to conventional products that are easier to find the hostile subsoils that are hidden below the surface. So nanotechnology is the manipulation of particle size and fabricating their functionality for our advantage. And that's how we can improve the mode of action of the new generation of products as opposed to a conventional products that doesn't have that ability.
And very quickly, if you could just elaborate a little bit more, what effects do the product have on the microbiome profile of the soil as well?
Because we are using organic-based products, the products are natural. So they are coming from, for example, we're using a carbon-coated mineral that doesn't have any adverse effect on soil functionality and microbiology. And if anything, they will be helping to improve the biodiversity of microbial activity. And this is subject to a lot of studies where people, for example, use biochars, which is a known a word for many of researchers. The biochar is being used as a carrier at the nano scale for taking the minerals that we would like into the deeper soil profile. So from the role in microbiome or soil functionality, because we are using raw material that are from natural background, there is no adverse effect on microbial communities of different soil types.
Thanks, Ehsan. And just a reminder that Ehsan will be available to continue to asking those questions that we haven't got to today after the presentation in our networking event. Next, I'm really excited to introduce you to our next team, which is Aloxitech, created by a female founder and materials scientist, Dr. Jinghua Feng. This product is committed to zero waste, contributing to the economic growth of Australian agricultural producers and exporters, and will change the way that produce is valued across the supply chain.
We know about 45% of food is wasted, and Australians waste nearly 300 kilograms each, making us the fourth worst offender globally. The waste occurs pretty evenly across the value chain, all the way from the farm to the fork. So it's clear we have a problem, but what we can do about it is less clear. We have developed a material that can increase the life of fresh produce. It's lightweight, it's recyclable, it's non-toxic, and it's non-plastic. It works by creating a micro-atmosphere around the fruit that reduces the element to cause it to ripen. We have conducted successful trials in extending the shelf life of apples, bananas, strawberries, and cherries. It's clear there's potential for this material to be used at every level of the value chain, from the farm all the way to consumers' homes. My name is John Hawley, and with the founder, Dr. Fang, we share a common passion to reduce the amount of food being wasted. Please make contact with us if you would like to collaborate and help us to commercialise this opportunity. Thank you.
I would now like to hand you over to the co-founder of Aloxitech, Mr. John Hawley.
Thank you, Krista, and good afternoon all. So Aloxitech is brought to you by a materials scientist and a consumer goods marketer. Whilst we have very different backgrounds, we share a common passion, and that is to be able to reduce some of the food waste. And there's an awful lot of it. About 45% of all food is currently being wasted, and Australians waste nearly 300 kilos per person per annum, making us the 4th worst offender globally. And that's a statistic that I am particularly embarrassed about. So how on earth do we go from this to this? Well, we're wasting food at every stage from the farm through to the fork. So we're all contributing to this problem. And whilst it's clear that we do have a problem, what is less clear is what we can do about it. Let's have a look at a couple of the solutions to prolong the life of fresh produce. So commercial cool rooms are enormous. They are very expensive to operate, and they are very energy hungry. Chemical sprays that contain ethylene blockers are widely used today to slow down the ripening process, both at pre-harvest and post-harvest. Internationally, an exciting new solution has emerged. It's known as active packaging. And 2 brands have really started to gain traction in the market. Appeal out of the US and It's Fresh out of Europe are examples of those brands. So it's in this space of active packaging that Aloxitech is playing. And what is Aloxitech? Well, it is a patented process and solution that can be coated onto a thin sheet of foil. That sheet is then inserted either into a punnet or into a box that fruit would normally be in. The fruit is then placed on top of the sheet. And it works by creating a micro-atmosphere around the fruit, circulating and absorbing the gases that would typically ripen the fruit. If we have a look at some test results, you can see the strawberries in the control have just started to develop mold after day 10. That will continue all the way through to the conclusion of the trial. Similarly, whilst the apples have been on the material, it has continued to perform very well versus the control. Domestically, the active packaging market is really in its infancy in Australia, with most of the solutions targeted at the consumer at home, with what I would call high quality storage bags for use in either the fridge or the freezer, or alternatively, insert sheets that can be used in a salad crisper or in a fruit bowl. One of the benefits of Aloxitech is that it can be used at every stage of the supply chain. And I specifically call out the export market here because we think there is a great opportunity for us in this space. Here's a quick look at the Aloxitech team. And look, we do think that there is great opportunity for further roles in the production and manufacturing space, as well as in research and development. So with thanks to our partners to date, we're absolutely thrilled with the progress that we've made. We've been able to master the technology, we've been able to secure patents, we've taken learnings from trials, and we've been able to confirm a commercial trial for early next year. However, we do accept that there's still an awful lot to do. And that brings us to our ask for today, and that is to generate investment support. We know that we need to commercialise the current material and upscale our manufacturing capability out of a current laboratory and continue on our journey of R&D into added value benefits such as antibacterial and antifungal, and also potentially into new categories. If you know of someone that might be able to help us, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thanks, John. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to jump straight into some questions, if that's okay with you. You mentioned Appeal in the US has gained traction. Could you just elaborate on that at all?
Yeah, sure. So Appeal has successfully collaborated with farmers and national retailers. On the image that I showed in the video, they had specifically worked on avocados, where they were able to take an exclusive product to market and claim increased freshness, and as a result, charge a premium for that product.
Thanks, John. And just a reminder, you can ask questions via the chat function. We've received another one via our social channels as well. Is it possible for you to advise who you are conducting a commercial trial with?
I'm pleased to say that we have confirmed a trial with the Costa Group for early next year. So the Costa Group is Australia's largest horticultural company, so thrilled to be working with them.
Thanks very much, John, for that. I just want to know, what's stopping Appeal from launching in Australia and becoming a competitor?
Well, I guess there's no real reason why they wouldn't be able to enter the Australian market. And it's a challenge for Australians and Australian companies to provide a solution that is available in the Australian market.
Great. It would be wonderful to have such an Australian product and take it to the world. So thanks very much, John. Just a reminder that John and his team will actually be in the networking event later this evening. Our next speaker has a passion for human health and the environment. His passion led him to the University of New South Wales. We will hear how advances in medicine can be shared across sectors and how one solution can benefit many industries.
Hello, my name is Kong Vu. I came to Australia to do a PhD in nanomedicine at the University of New South Wales. During my PhD research, I was focused on developing nanoparticle technology targeting cancer cells. And with Professor Justin Gooding, we realized the work we are doing on anti-cancer drug delivery could be expanded to agriculture industry by reformulating pesticides delivery. By doing this, we solve two main problems. Maximize the benefit of pesticides for agrochemical industry and farmers, and minimize the residue to environment. Our staff NanoSoil help agrochemical industry a $250 billion market by reformulating their pesticide products using our nanoparticles and help toward a more sustainable agriculture.
Hello, I'm Professor Justin Gooding and Kong's PhD supervisor. When Kong came with the vision of NanoSoil, I was really excited because I can see farming is so central to so many of the challenges we face in modern life, and anything we can do to help, we would like to do. The vision of the company is to provide farmers with the tools they need to make all our lives better. Thank you.
May we welcome Dr. Kong Vu to our digital stage.
Did you know that only 0.1% of pesticides actually reach the target space? So it means 99.9% of applied pesticides expose the environment. This is because pesticides were not delivered precisely. For example, herbicide need to be delivered to the weeds only, or pesticide target the pest in the leaf need to bind and stay on the leaf. Or to target the pest in the soil, pesticides need to go down the root. However, with the conventional delivery pesticides farmers are using, the efficiency delivery is very low, and this causes pesticide residues. New South Wales is in the stage 1 of net zero plant. So imagine the farming activity in the next 10 years. We have to find a solution to cut the pesticide residues, but at the same time, maintain the productivity. And today we bring a sustainable solution. So originally we used nanoparticle, 1,000 times smaller than human hair, to deliver anti-cancer drug. And we have successfully developed a technology that can selectively kill the cancer cell while leaving the healthy cell alone. And we realized the chemical structure of pesticides and anti-cancer drugs are pretty much similar. So why don't we expand our technology for pesticides delivery? So by doing that, we can control pesticides precisely to the pest target and minimize the residue to environment. So we do not make pesticides, we do not do the farming, but what we do is to have agrochemical industry reformulate their products using our nanoparticle. So which means agrochemical industry can sell our nano formulation. And once they do that, we will have the return. So why we target agrochemical industry? So our seed farmers spend more than 3 billion every year for pesticides. And the current global market size of agrochemical is more than 200 billion in 2020, and expect to increase to 250 billion in 2025. So this is a huge market to explore. So here is one of our products. This is a mixture of two shapes of nanoparticle. And with this design, we got a run from Syngenta called Fasta Cotton. And now we are doing the trial in cotton plant in Australia and New Zealand. After that, we scale up our technology, not only in cotton, but in various crops such as rice, wheat, and barley, and commercializing in Australia, New Zealand, and global. So we are looking for a partnership with agrochemical researcher, scientists, and industry. At the same time, we are raising the capital to help us continue and expanding our testing in various drugs. So why now? So New South Wales is in the stage 1 of net zero plant. So it will stimulate a higher demand in sustainable farming product. So it also sends a signal to agrochemical industry and farmer to change to a sustainable farming now. So we are based at the University of New South Wales with Professor Justin Gooding. We acknowledge the support from TBI, the GATE program, Spark Up Cultivate. Our business goal is to have cut pesticide residues 50% by 2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Kong. Your vision to help farmers reduce 50% pesticide residues and contribute to net zero emissions by 2050, many would say is ambitious. But with your team, I know you'll exceed this. We've already received many questions via our social channels and the chat. May I ask if you're able to elaborate or provide some more details on what materials you're actually using?
So currently we are using silica nanomaterials. We choose silica because we originally used silica for our biomedical work. So it's already approved for human use, silica nanoparticle. And silica is one of the most abundant materials in soil and sand. So we use the materials from soil and sand to make the nanoparticle, and now we return them to the soil.
Thanks, Kong. Can you elaborate on the sustainability of the materials?
Yes, so our business goal is to have for a sustainable agriculture. So every step we take, we calculate based on the sustainable indicator. So that's why we choose silicon nanoparticle, and that's why our business goal is to have minimize the pesticide residues. And once we can do that all together, it will have restored the biodiversity and restore the soil. So it will have improved our sustainable agriculture.
Thanks, Kong. We've got quite an active chat happening here, and it looks like you've piqued some interest because we're getting a lot of questions in regards to the estimated cost of goods, or what's the cost likely per tonne. So I guess the question is, will the nanoparticles increase the cost of the final product?
So this is a very good question. So of course, so we use nanoparticles, so we add the nanoparticle and to the pesticide bottle. At the same time, we have eliminate a lot of unnecessary chemical because currently in the pesticide bottle is not only active ingredients. So they have to add a lot of surfactants and solvent to have dissolved the pesticide active ingredients. And here, because active ingredients inside our nanoparticle, so we can help eliminate unnecessary chemical for both agrochemical industry and for environment. So we need to calculate and make the balance between the cost of adding nanoparticle and eliminate unnecessary chemical.
Thanks very much, Kong. It seems that we've got a couple more questions in regards to understanding where you're going to manufacture, whether it be locally or overseas. Do you have any ideas to elaborate on that now for us?
Yes, so we do have a long-term manufacturing plant because I'm from Vietnam, and the nanoparticle we are using is silica. And so we have a sustainable production silica, so we don't need to worry about the raw materials. And currently we plan to produce for the R&D, we do space in Australia, but later for large scale manufacturing, we more targeting in Vietnam or Thailand for other agriculture. Secondly, silicon nanomaterials we are using, we also focus on circular economy, so which means we can recycle agricultural waste to make silicon nanoparticles. This is the further steps of circular economy nanoparticle that we're targeting in the future.
Thanks very much, Kong. You've got a couple more questions in the Q&A as well, but I think we might wait for the networking event if that's okay. So I want to make sure that next, this team will make you rethink the way that we can drive economic growth in the sector. But first, we want to see that there is the chain, apologies. Next, the next startup is here to change the way that you look at the world's second most expensive agricultural commodity. So just out of curiosity, I want to hear from you out in the audience, your thoughts on what you might be hearing about next. So I ask you to pop your answers in the chat function so that we can see what you think the second most expensive agricultural commodity will be. Got lots of saffron coming through, a bit of saffron. We've got a vanilla. We've got a livestock product coming through as well that I see on our social channels with our hashtags. I can see a few more coming through. So it's really interesting to understand the way that a sector can drive economic growth. And it can also create new connections, create new markets, and also have a greater impact.
Hello, I'm David Sue from Australian Vanilla Plantation, and we're here at the Vanilla Dome to talk about the problem of global vanilla supply. There is simply not enough. In tropical countries where vanilla is grown, such as Madagascar, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, we've seen climate change negatively impact production. This has led to market volatility, just like a roller coaster. We've seen prices jump from $100 to $600 and back to $200 US per kilo for cured vanilla beans. This is unsustainable. So we're going to fix the market with a three-part approach. Firstly, disrupt the supply chain. Buy fresh vanilla beans directly from farmers. They'll get paid faster and we guarantee them a fairer price. Secondly, import these beans into Australia and using highly advanced curing technology. We'll give our customers cheaper and better quality products. And thirdly, sell vanilla domes everywhere. This will increase and guarantee supply, reducing price volatility and leads to a sustainable market, hence protecting the industry. Come join us on this exciting journey as an investor or a vanilla dome owner.
I would now like to hand you over to the founder, Mr. David Sue.
Everyone knows vanilla, right? Can you find me anyone who's never tasted or smelt vanilla? It's the most loved flavour and aroma in the whole world. It's used in over 18,000 products, and nearly all these products use synthetic or artificial vanilla, which is created using 5 compounds. But real vanilla has over 200 compounds. There is simply no comparison. Unfortunately, there is not enough vanilla. The vanilla problem is simple economics. there is not enough supply and too much demand. Natural vanilla is only 3% of global annual consumption. It's grown in specific countries with low yield and in recent times greatly affected by climate change. This causes the vanilla market to be extremely volatile. This is not sustainable. So we intend to fix this problem by transforming the market and not the product. Our global vanilla initiatives will stabilize and lead to a viable and sustainable industry. Firstly, we've taken an approach to disrupt the supply chain. If we buy fresh vanilla beans directly from farmers, this will protect their income and provide security and guarantee them a fair price. They'll get paid faster. Secondly, transform the curing process by using highly advanced technology to remove the burden from farmers. This reduces the time for curing from 4 months to 2 weeks. This is cheaper, more efficient, and results in high quality products. These benefits are then passed on to customers. Thirdly, create a vanilla supply reserve. The vanilla domes are high yield, efficient plantations that extend the possible growing regions by 2,000 kilometres north and south of the equator. Our journey started in 2015 based on successful research into curing of high quality vanilla, which takes only 2 weeks, whilst maintaining flavour and aroma, and being rated the best vanilla in the world. I designed a commercial program. The vanilla dome is a key strategic block to guarantee supply, and the current prototype was constructed in 2019. It has achieved all designed performance parameters, including high efficiency, sustainability, effectively growing vanilla in subtropical locations such as Central Coast of New South Wales. Presently, the important milestone of first flowering has been achieved, and we expect the first harvest next year in April. Moving forward, agents have been appointed to establish and operate buying desks in Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and Uganda for 2022. So we ask that you join us and select your investment journey. There are 3 opportunity streams. The first is direct investment in vanilla cultivation and global buying desk with Australian Vanilla Plantation. The second is also direct investment into curing, processing, and extraction of vanilla for final sale. Alternatively, you may wish to be a vanilla farmer and own a plantation yourself. With a proven track record, I, alongside with Dr. Sahar Van Dyke, Dr. John Troughton, and Helene Ong, together with our partners, will ensure a successful outcome and deliver the Global Vanilla Initiative. So we'd like to thank the New South Wales Gates team for working with us to present this exciting opportunity, and we look forward to building a better vanilla future.
Thanks, David. A completely new approach to a traditional market. We have had a question come through, and I'm just asking you if you could expand on how you know that your approach is going to be successful, and secondly, how is the vanilla market sustainable?
So we know that there is demand is inelastic. So if we can provide continuous supply, the market itself will regulate and through that become sustainable. Climate change has affected the confidence of buyers.
Thanks, David. I know you mentioned in your about defining a fair price. Could you elaborate on how you're going to define what a fair price is?
So fair price is based upon what they understand to be living wage, and farmers have been traditionally paid by market. Their prices have been determined by market by the market itself. And as it's so volatile, we've seen that the prices have been greatly affected, but this also affects the farmers. By taking away the burden of curing the beans, we can offer the farmers a fairer price, which is, and that will give them the incentives to actually increase their yield and continue to farm. And through that, we can then ensure that they have a higher enough income, and through that, get their fairer price.
And I've received another question via our social channels as well. And I just want to know, I love the shape of your greenhouse, but I'd really like to understand, how does it compare to a traditional greenhouse?
So a dome is 60% more efficient as a greenhouse as opposed to traditional greenhouses, because of its natural shape allows better airflow. It reduces the amount of water and electricity that's used, and we have a much higher biomass per cubic meter as compared to current greenhouses, by up to about 4 times.
Thanks, David. I know I'm actually really excited that I can't wait to actually visit one of your greenhouses. And just a reminder that David will be available along with our other teams to continue the conversation, and also that we have been receiving chats and questions via our social channels as well with hashtag DPIGate. So I just want to say our next and final team for today brings together 130 years of research and makes this complex research knowledge available to everyone.
At New South Wales Department of Primary Industries, we specialise in developing decision support tools that are the culmination of scientific and customer-based research and development to solve practical problems. With our partners, DPI have developed a range of decision support tools across our portfolio, from fisheries to forestry and biosecurity to agriculture. And we know that they are popular. For example, our drought and supplementary feed calculator has been downloaded over 20,000 times. We know from our research that decision support tools are used to build confidence in decision making through rapid assessment of scenarios. They need to be simple, cost-effective, and reduce risk. We are committed to meeting these needs. We are refining our approaches to designing and maintaining decision support tools to ensure they deliver even more impact into the future for farmers, agribusiness, research and development corporations, and government agencies.
I now have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Catherine Edgerton-Warburton.
Thanks, Krista, and it's great to be here with you all. Things have changed a lot since I was a kid, where once we turned to pen and paper, now we're more likely to use a device in the palm of our hand. What hasn't changed is the need to make timely, informed, efficient decisions. I'm Dr. Catherine Edgerton-Warburton, an award-winning extensionist with over 30 years' experience. I know that in agriculture, we're bombarded with information from a variety of sources, from traditional print media to instantaneous updates on everything from the weather to daily commodity prices. When we make a decision, we're running through a range of what-if scenarios in our head. And the impact of each decision is a function of the previous one. There are so many combinations, it's exhausting. This is where decision support tools come in, building confidence in decision-making through rapid assessment of scenarios. The impacts of poor decision-making can lead to massive financial, social, and environmental impacts. For example, in livestock industries, we know that a failure to meet market specifications for beef costs the industry $51 million per annum. And we also know from our research that there is potential for a $20.3 billion increase in the gross value of agricultural production through the use of decision agriculture. Some sectors have made good progress, but there remains enormous opportunity to transform the businesses of New South Wales producers and beyond. At DPI, we specialise in taking multiple data inputs and transforming these into easy-to-use outputs to support decision-making. This is demonstrated across our portfolio, from fisheries to forestry, biosecurity to agriculture. And this has been achieved in partnership with our key co-investors. As an example, our drought and supplementary feed calculator is used by farmers and their advisors to deliver cost-effective ration solutions to meet animal requirements. But it's more than that. There can be improved animal welfare and reduced land degradation. Here at New South Wales Department of Primary Industries, we have been delivering research to practice with our agricultural industries for over 130 years. We have the advantage of being able to collaborate across sectors. Most importantly, we are a trusted, independent, and robust source of information. My team and I have a wealth of experience across various agricultural sectors and throughout supply chains, and we came together with a commitment to delivering enduring value from existing and new decision support tools. We have some of the pieces of the puzzle, and we need to connect with others to complete the picture. There is no one-size-fits-all piece to complete the puzzle, for each of our decision support tools requires different pieces. So if you believe you are the missing piece, such as a software engineer, a farm management platform, or one of our research co-investors, we'd love to talk to you to identify how we can create even greater impact in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. I really like the analogy about the puzzle piece, but I'd like to know, how have you identified which of the pieces of the puzzle that you actually need?
Yep, Krista, we've actually worked with 5 pilot decision support tools or apps. And so we've worked with the app owners who were involved in the development to have a look at what their initial problem was that they were attempting to solve, what their solution is. And we've also done some user experience testing with current users of those particular apps. But we've also spoken, I guess, internally to our directors and our leaders as to what the opportunities are to create an enduring piece for some of these tools so that they, I guess, don't undergo code rot.
Well, that's really interesting, but there's so many decision support tools out there in agriculture. Are you proposing that there's a new way to integrate some of these to better utilise all of the information?
We believe that there are opportunities to have a look at where there may be a bolt-on to an existing tool. There may be opportunities to add tools together along the supply chain as well. So that's something that may be being used in the breeding or livestock production aspect, which then has flow-on effects through to the meat quality aspects, that we can actually get those decision support tools talking to one another. The other thing is that we see a real opportunity in any future decision support tools that they actually build on what we already have, potentially on the shelf, so that we're not reinventing the wheel, but we are actually utilising the value of our previous investments.
Thanks, Catherine. So by bringing them all together, you're proposing that you're going to have a greater impact to adjust industry and bring along your commercial partners as well. So I'm guessing it's like, imagine the power of 130 years of research could do for your business, for your industry, and I'm guessing then it has the capability to drive economic growth, create biosecurity in industries, change the environment, build and prepare our national response capacity as well, because we have all those data sets here at DPI. So basically, imagine the possibilities.
Absolutely, imagine the possibilities.
That's great. Thanks so much, Catherine. And just a reminder that we do have the chat function, and we also do have it on our social channels as well. But we've got another question just very quickly for Catherine, if that's okay. One just came through very quickly. So with so many IoT, what do you see as the next decision support tool?
Oh, wow.
It's a big one, I know.
Yeah, look, I really, it would depend on which sector you're actually looking at, I guess. We acknowledge that there are a lot of sensors and opportunities out there. The next big thing, I guess Krista's highlighted some of those issues. We may be able to use some of our decision support tools to impact the net zero. We may be able to use them to impact on climate resilience. We may be able to use them for early detection of biosecurity incursions. So there's just so much opportunity, and we've really just scratched the surface in what we've been able to do in the last 6 months.
Thanks, Catherine. I actually think it's a really big conversation to have, and maybe we actually start having that conversation in our networking event. I'm now actually going to invite our Deputy Director General, Mr. Brett Fifield to close the GATE Virtual 2021 event. Come and join me up on live, Brett.
Thanks, Krista, and welcome to the last leg of the GATE Virtual for 2021. Firstly, to Krista and the team here at the GATE in Orange, New South Wales, congratulations. This is your second virtual, and I can see that everyone got themselves off mute, and the activity and the conversation was strong. And I'd also like to thank our partners in delivery, growth drivers, for their work with the cohort. What a great number of teams. You had 5 teams from across New South Wales working on projects that span the globe. And as the Minister said, as we're winding down this cohort for 2021, out across New South Wales, our farmers are gearing up for what is going to be a bumper harvest for the winter crop, forecast at 46 million tonnes. They're not just working off the back of seasonal conditions, but they're working off decades and decades of research. Research undertaken by organisations like DPI that have asked very similar questions to the cohorts we've seen today. How do I reduce costs? How do I increase productivity? How do I work with the environment? How do I find solutions to challenges that are age-old? And how do I find new markets and new partners to take my research to the world? And that's where the GATE works. We work with startups to speed up that process of getting research from the dome, if it's vanilla, out to the rest of the world in a timely manner so that everyone can work towards, in Australia's case, $100 billion export value by 2030. So in closing, congratulations to our cohort. Thanks to our audience. We had an international audience from the UK, Canada, United States and South Africa. And now you have the opportunity to speak directly with our entrepreneurs, ask them the questions, and I encourage you all to think what's next for the GATE, what's next for our cohort, and what's next for your role working with our teams.